All right, so I want to talk about something that the Lord has put on my heart that if you begin to really understand this starting now, then later down the line, it will bode well for you as more things come up in terms of interpretation, in terms of your perception of reality, in terms of how much deeper you can get, especially even in the Word. And something you got to realize about how God works is that God, He's a magnificent, deep, and wide God. So what that means is that He doesn't always function at the surface level. If you ever read the Bible and you read certain things, certain passages, you realize that the interconnectedness of symbolism, of just various references to certain metaphors, all these type of things. When Jesus spoke in parables, certain people understood it at a certain level, and then there's deeper and deeper meanings. I'll give you one example very quickly. Recently, I learned about this Psalm 22 reference where Jesus, when he's dying on the cross, he quotes from Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me and from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry in the daytime, but you do not hear, and in the night season, and I am not silent. But if you go down a little bit, here's where it gets crazy. It says in verse 6, I am a worm and no man, a reproach of men and despised by the people. That word, I am a worm, right? What it means in Hebrew. You can't just skim this and then realize like he's just talking about some worm, whatever, and you kind of gloss over it, right? A lot of people, they read something and they just gloss over it and they don't really understand context. They don't really understand what he's referencing if you don't know the deeper layers of meaning behind it. The Hebrew word for worm or of this sort of area is tolahat. And in tolahat is referencing this crimson worm. And if you Google or research what this crimson worm does and how it functions in its life cycle, then you'll find something incredibly crazy, which is that this crimson worm, once in their lifetime, they basically go up and attach themselves to a tree and to lay its eggs. This female worm lays its eggs and then it basically tears their body apart, almost killing itself, or what it seems like, after laying the eggs, and it attaches itself, making a protective shell around the eggs, and then for 3 days, right, this body excretes this crimson or scarlet dye, stains the wood to which it's attached, and surrounds her and covers her baby worm. So then the baby worms become crimson for the rest of their life. And then on the 4th day, the tail of the mother worm, right, it pulls up, it forms this heart-shaped body that is no longer crimson, but it turns white as snow. How could you get any more symbolic? How can you allow a creature that God has made to resemble what would be the future crucifixion of Jesus Christ, right? So this is just one. You wouldn't know that unless you read deeply into it. My point is this. When God allows certain things to be communicated, a big example is the Q operation, right? A lot of people, they dismiss the Q operation. They dismiss quote unquote coded messages, right? When I talk about Trump and the military, when I talk about Dan Scavino and these guys, many other people, when they speak, they're never speaking just in one way. And it's very hard for people to understand. I'm not here to try to tie together godly things with Trump and all that stuff. What I'm saying is that to those that have an ear, let him hear. And the way God communicates oftentimes is so much more deeper than we can ever realize. But what it requires is deep research. And I come from an economics background. And one of the things that you measure is how likely are certain coincidences to happen. And so if you understand Q proofs and deltas, zero deltas, and the likelihood of how certain things line up, and try to see the deeper meaning behind it, you realize that certain things, it's not coincidence, right? You assess things like the binomial distribution. How likely is it that 2 things happen, 3 things happen, 50 things happen at the same time? Poisson distribution formula, right? So these models assess with a high degree of certainty whether certain things are coincidences or not. And so this is what I mean by when you get deeper in assessing messages and the target audience. I'm telling you, if you read the Bible, when you study anything, right, you don't just take it at surface value, at face value. You realize that if it's necessary and if it's needed, certain people, whether it's the Bible and how God communicates, or whether it's through society and God's using certain people, there are deeper levels of meaning. And the people that really want to research and understand and assess whether it's a crossing against a statistical probability, crossing against the likelihood of how it matches up with future paradigms and your perceptions and just world purviews, whatever it is, and you're really trying to dig deeper and studying things, studying Hebrew, studying other scriptures, and you really say, man, is this likely? Is there some other meaning behind it? Prophetically, when there's an interpretation, is there double meaning? Is there other things behind it? And you really are a student of getting deeper, then you will see and uncover these things. And so whether it's symbolism, and whether it's numbers, numerology, whether it's many things, right? This is how Satan also works. He uses symbolism. If you study any amount of symbolism with the Illuminati, with the, the Freemasonry, as well as Hollywood, the one eye stuff, hands in your sleeves, closing one eye, covering one eye, many other things. If you look at these things, you realize that Satan and these guys, they're all about these secret symbols and societies or whatever it is. And God is also about that too. And so you only see that if you are open to it, you desire truth, you desire to study and get deeper. And then you say and you're not just going to eat up anything, right? Somebody tells you, hey, this symbol means this. And you're like, oh, really? And then you just kind of eat it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you really have to be a student and study things. Why am I saying this? It's because whether it's Q, whether it's other information operations, whether it's, you go back to World War II, right? They're talking in certain codes, right? Everything from Morse code all the way down to certain meanings, certain words, meaning different things and all that stuff. There's a reason this is happening because certain people will get the message and other people, they won't. And this is how it must be communicated. That's why Jesus even spoke in parables. He spoke in parables. He spoke with coded messages. He's referencing, re-quoting things, Psalm 22, hundreds and thousands of other things. And it's for a reason because there's different target audiences and there's different levels of appreciation. There are different things that is a revelation, that is a joy for others when they get to that moment. And it's like a treasure. You solve a puzzle, like a crossword puzzle or something, and then you realize, man, there was a lot of effort and work behind it, and the satisfaction of knowing, okay, that makes sense. It clicks. It's together, right? Those things, for that person who's receiving it, they understand the journey they went through and what it really means. And so that's why there's different levels. There's different, if you want to say a pyramid almost, right? Very few at the top really understand the whole message. And to get there, you have to get beyond this aspect of single layer, one-dimensional sort of methodology and way. And so I'm saying this to you because a lot of people, more and more information is going to come out. And for you to really digest it, you have to really sit there and say, man, like everyone's talking about these symbols. Everyone's talking about these operations. Everyone's talking about this coded message stuff. Like all these things from the good guys to the bad guys. Is it true or not? And you have to be a student of the word. You have to be a student of truth. You have to be a student to really do your due diligence and not just take the cheater way out, right? And what I mean by that, which I've said for a long time, is you read 2 or 3 sources and you think you know something because you took the shortcut to the end goal. So I'm saying this for many people who have been studying, you've been getting deeper, and you're being rewarded because God, he's also a God who's deep. He goes super deep. The Bible is not some surface level textbook. There's many, many depths of how he works and what he communicates. The same way in society, in life, in many ways. He's using government, he's using people, he's using military communications, he's using many groups, whatever it is, to speak in a different way. And if you're open to that and you desire discernment and you desire, Lord, I want to get deeper. I want to know, what does this mean? And you don't just brush things off. You don't brush off, that cuckoo Hollywood stuff, all of that Disney symbolism. That sounds like some crazy stuff, man. Then you're never going to get to a place of revelation. If you look at Jesus and say, you know what, his parable, it means very simply X, Y, Z. And then you never get deeper into his words and you don't cross-reference things, you will never know the depths to which God is communicating certain things and the revelation you can have. So I'm saying this because be weary of layered meaning. be weary of different target audiences. And if you're open to how God is speaking and what he's doing in this information age that we live in, the disinformation age we live in, I promise you, you can grow in discernment and see, oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy how you're working in this way. And it's awe-inspiring, right? And so again, guys, I'm saying this as a prelude to what's to come. Many more things are going to come out, and it will be hard to digest it unless you begin now to say, I want to be open to how there are layered messages and different modes of communication and how this is all working together, right? So just want to give you guys this quick heads up. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.